Zach, keep your Christmas in your way, and I'll keep it in mine.
Hey, listen. After the week I've had, I'm ready.
We are ready.
You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do? You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What up, film fans? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to episode 379. Welcome to A Christmas Carol Conversation. You're listening to another new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Juan, and I am joined by Mr. Cratchit himself, Zach.
Hey, you know what? It is a Tiny Tim Tuesday. How about that? What do you think about that?
Look at you adding to the verbs and the vocabulary of this podcast. It's a Tiny Tim Tuesday instead of
It is. I'm proud of myself. I came up with that. I thought for sure you would have said that on the opening.
No, that's good. It is a what do we usually say?
Tippy Top Tuesday.
Tippy top Tuesday.
So we had
There
to
we
play
go.
on the words a little bit.
Yeah, we did. Welcome to the final episode of 2025. It is our year finale. We don't have seasons, so it's not a season finale, and it's not quite yet the series finale, but it is the year finale as we talk our final conversation of 2025. We talk a Christmas Carol conversation, an episode like we have not done at all, I don't think. But if you want to go back and listen to a more traditional episode, we do movie reviews here on this podcast. If this is the first time you're listening or watching us, if you're watching us live on Facebook or Inasawa Productions YouTube channel, good evening. This is the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. We talk movies, we review movies, review conversations. We had a whole theme this year of Matthew McConaughey. Go back and listen to all those episodes. We are not done by any means. So like next week and the week after that, we will be active on social media. I'll be sharing some different episodes that maybe we have had throughout the year. But this is the last new episode of 2025. We will be back live January the 6th as we talk Avatar Fire and Ash. January the 6th. So that's what's coming up in January. Zach is going to give the entire January slate here before we end today's conversation.
Yep.
If you want to hear what 2026's new theme is, I suggest you go back and listen to last week's episode. Wherever you listen to podcasts at, we talked all about The Godfather Part 2, and we dove deep into what next year is going to bring for this podcast. Facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast, Instagram /The Cine-Men Movie Podcast, X, or formerly known as the Twitter, is Cine-Men405, or you can send us an old-fashioned email. You got mail. And that's kind of some sad news, what we're going to get ready to get into as well. CINEMEN921@gmail.com. You can listen to last week's episode. We discussed The Godfather Part 2 and what next year's theme is going to be, which if you don't want to go back and listen, next year's theme is going to be IMDb's top 250. We're going to go through and talk about movies that we might have already talked about, or some movies that are on that list that we have not yet discussed, that we're kind of like, dude, the world could come to an end tomorrow. Next year could be our last episode due to like Armageddon or something, and we're like, we have to talk about those movies. So dig into last week's episode, listen to that. Dude, speaking of You Got Mail, and some other comedy classics, The Writers.
Say that one more time, man. I'm sorry.
The Reiners, Rob Reiner and his wife. Tragic news coming out of Hollywood this past week. Zach has completely lost this. Sometimes when you do stuff live, you have technical difficulties. But if you guys did not know, Rob Reiner and his wife, coming out of news out of Hollywood, were tragically murdered by their son. Completely a shocker out of everybody. It hit news this past week. Rob Reiner and his wife were murdered by his son. Such a terrible, terrible world out there that we're living in. This stuff like that is like not only hitting the news, but it's like, oh yeah, it's in the news, and almost some people tend to be not like shocked at all by some of it. So very, very terrible stuff. So while we wait for Zach to get back on, I'm going to go through and go over some of my recent watches. If you guys want to, you can follow me on the social media. The Instagram is all one word, Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Follow on the Instagram. There's giveaways on there. There's also all kinds of stuff that we do on the physical media and social media pages, so go check that out. Zach, I was just going to go over my recent watches, but now that you're back, we can kind of talk about the Rob Reiner situation.
Yeah. Sorry. If anyone wants to send me good internet Christmas, any good internet I can get for Christmas this year, that'd be helpful.
Hey, look, there it is. Support us and support Zach and his email connection.
I really want to start the show off with here at the podcast. We want to share our thoughts and feelings to the family, Rob Reiner and his wife. That's just a horrific situation. Obviously, I think they've pretty much nailed it down that one of his sons, unfortunately, killed both his parents. He had been a longtime drug user. We don't really know what exactly set everything up in smoke. They were at a party the night before. Supposedly they got into an argument and it led to this tragic ending. But let's talk about some of the good. I mean, Rob Reiner, man. I mean, obviously everyone knows him probably best as being on Family Ties, Family Matters, their Archie Bunker show back in the 70s. But man, this guy, his directing style, this is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, A Few Good Men, which hopefully we get to talk about next year. It's, he had a pretty impressive directing run there for a minute. And then have you got a chance to watch the new Spinal Tap yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't even seen the original one. I know we're talking about Stand By Me next year.
Okay. I figured as much. But what was, as a film director or as an actor, what it was? Oh, and of course, When Harry Met Sally, obviously, one of his bigger films, All in the Family. That's what I was thinking of. Misery, I forgot about he directed that. Did he direct The Bucket List too?
I'm not sure. One that
He did, yeah.
One that sticks out of my mind for sure is Stand By Me, and you just mentioned it.
Misery.
Misery, yeah.
Yeah. I think mine would be A Few Good Men and The Bucket List. I really enjoy The Bucket List. But what did he mean to you as like an actor, whether you liked his acting or his directing? What do you think of in the film business?
I think film industry is just so give or take. There's a lot of great directors that are just probably overlooked out at some point, and I think maybe he's probably one for sure. Mm-hmm. But you're just kind of like, man, something like this is just kind of tragic. There's no reason for it, and it's just all around sadness. But I think as far as he goes as a director, one of the greats. Probably doesn't even get talked about as one of the greats. So
yeah, I mean that whole
when-
list of films that I mentioned, that's a, like I said, that's a pretty good run for a director.
when you dramatically change the coming of age story and that genre with Stand By Me, you completely shake the industry. Okay. And then he does it again with When Harry Met Sally. Again, you completely shake the industry when it comes to romantic comedies. And then you think, oh, okay, two movies can kind of shake that. He does it again with the courtroom drama in A Few Good Men, and he just again shakes that genre style of film. So when you're a director and you can just shake all over and change the culture of not one, not two, not three, even let's say Misery, if you're going to talk about a horror movie, this guy has so many touches in different genres. It's insane. And it's not like he just did it and was okay at it. Again, I just named off 4 huge movies that shook those genres to the core, and you could say that those are some of the greatest movies of all time. So it's tragic incident. It's a shame that we lost one of the greatest directors of all time. But it's even more tragic that somebody lost a grandpa, or somebody lost a family member, or somebody lost a friend. So yeah. Ask for help if you're on drugs, or if there's stuff like that you're going through. Like, just ask for help, man.
It's even more horrific that the daughter found the bodies. So that's something no one should ever have to witness.
No, it'll be a little tough changing the direction here for the show. But like we said, I'm a huge supporter of let's celebrate somebody's life. Let's celebrate somebody's memory. And if you are a Rob Reiner fan, or if you want to, pay some kind of tribute to him, go look up one of his films and just give it a watch. That's all I would have to say. Let's celebrate his life. I'm going to run through my recent watches real quick through the, it's the last episode of the year, so why not talk about it real quick? FX's A Christmas Carol, Deck the Halls, George C. Scott, A Christmas Carol, Four Christmases, A Muppet's Christmas Carol, Oh What Fun with Michelle Pfeiffer. I watched John Cena's last match on Saturday on Peacock, cried like a little baby. Jingle All the Way, 1951, A Christmas Carol, Jim Carrey's A Christmas Carol, and watch some Dallas Cowboys lose again. That's upsetting. Zach, what about you?
Yeah, because we are a professional podcast. We got to be professional with this. I watched. You should be proud of me. I watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different versions of A Christmas Carol.
I love you for that.
I watched the 2017 film, The Man Who Invented Christmas, which is kind of like a biopic about why am I having a stroke? Charles Dickens.
Charles Dickens, yeah, you were right the first time.
Charles Dickens, and like how he kind of came up with the idea of A Christmas Carol. We'll talk about it probably later in the episode. And then went and saw Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Just enough. Hamnet, the Golden Globe nominee. It's about Shakespeare and his wife, and how basically the death of his son inspired the Hamlet play. Very, very good film. Ella McKay. And then I went and saw the 25th anniversary of The Grinch, Jim Carrey version in 4DX at the Warren. Incredible experience. It was like a whole new experience watching this film, and it made me realize why I love the movie so much. So it was a cool theatrical re-release. And then just the different versions of A Christmas Carol, which we'll get into here shortly.
We will get into here very, very shortly. I think that's going to do it for recent watches. If you guys want to reach out to us on these 2 weeks that we won't have a new episode, again, reach out to us on the social media pages. I have some giveaways that are going to be going on in the next 2 weeks with some digital copies. Facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. and or the Instagram / Cine-Men Movie Podcast. And giveaways. It's that time of year. Zach, let's dig into this episode. We are having a Christmas Carol conversation. This is kind of a new thing for us here. Zach, what did you think was going to happen whenever I said, "Hey, let's just do this"?
I'll be honest. I was not thrilled about it. I was like, "Oh god, that's what you want to end 2025 on." I appreciate it's a Christmas episode, but it's not one that I particularly, quote unquote, enjoy. But I'll say that it was a fun experience to watch these different versions of A Christmas Carol and kind of get the gist of what the story is about and kind of the behind the meaning of it. I was going to ask you, kind of start us off. I mean, jumping off my point, what was the inspiration to do this particular show? Out of all the, maybe not so much all the movies we could have ended on, but why technically like this particular Christmas story did you want to end on?
So this is probably my second favorite all-time Christmas story. The first being obviously A Christmas Story from the 80s, about the little boy with the Red Ryder BB gun, obviously, which we did a few years ago. But A Christmas Carol to me is so important because whether you're somebody who does not appreciate Christmas, or you're somebody who may be too busy for Christmas, too poor for Christmas, or too rich for Christmas, as it talks about in the story, or just it's not your time of year, this is a story that you can look at through a lot of people's eyes, and most particularly Scrooge's eyes, and you can be like, okay, where do I see myself in this situation? Where do I see myself in this story? And there's so many great lines and pieces of dialogue throughout this story and these movies that you're just like, okay, if this were to happen to me, everybody deserves a second life, if you will, like a second chance at looking at life. And to me, A Christmas Story is not only a very good ghost story, but it's also just a feel-good moment for Scrooge, the character. Now, usually I'll get into like how much money a movie has made, or who's in the certain movies, or what year it was maybe developed. But we're talking A Christmas Carol, and in Propose being it is a ghost story of Christmas, commonly known as A Christmas Carol. It is a novel by Charles Dickens, first published in London by Chapman and Hall in 1843, and illustrated by John Leech. It recounts the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, an elderly miser who is visited by the ghost of his former business partner, Jacob Marley, and the spirits of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. In the process, Scrooge is transformed into a kinder, gentler man. The original title, A Christmas Carol in Prose, being a ghost story of Christmas, published December 19th, almost to the exact day that we're talking about it, 1843, 181 years ago.
182 on Friday, which is insane.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to end the year on this, because I am not going to lie. Out of all the Christmases in years past, this to me has been the most difficult. This has been the most difficult season. This has been the most difficult year. This has been the most difficult year of the podcast / my life / season. It's just been a terrible, tough year. So in all reality, Zach, I was like, let's end the year on a positive light of a man's journey that is dark, that is negative, but yet through the eyes of the three ghosts and through him and through Tiny Tim, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, Yeah, I can definitely respect that, why you chose to do it, to do this particular episode and kind of relive the not relive, but kind of recount your our quote unquote journey with this story. So I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I was never a Christmas Carol person, never had any interest at all. Like anytime any type of version of it was on TV, I immediately flipped the channel. If I was at daycare, whatever version they had on, I had no interest in watching it. It just wasn't a story that appealed to me. I just didn't care about it. The only version, I'll be honest with you, the only version I had ever seen up until this episode was the Jim Carrey version. I saw that in theaters, and the only reason I saw it was because of Jim Carrey, and he was playing like 5 different characters in the movie.
Yeah.
But fast forward to this episode and say, hey, we're going to do this. I was like, you know what? Let's do a deep dive. So I'm gonna rapid fire through these. So I'm just gonna go in order of the way I watched them.
Yeah.
I watched the Jim Carrey version, the 2019 Hulu BBC adaptation with Guy Pearce and Andy Serkis as the Ghost of Christmas Past, which
We're going to talk about that.
We're going to get it. We'll get into it. 1988's Scrooged with Bill Murray, which I know that's a lot of people's favorites. 1992's Muppets Christmas Carol with Michael Caine. The 1984 George C. Scott version. And by the way, all these different versions I'm naming off, all these are, you can stream them some way or another. There's a 1938 Reginald Owen version on HBO Max I watched. And then on your recommendation, I watched the 1951. I was like, let me get to the 1938. I was going to do the next film. I was like, okay, I'm done. And then you text me Sunday at night. He's like, hey, you need to watch this version before Tuesday. So that was the hardest one to find, that 1951 version. And I don't know if it was just like a crappy VHS transfer onto a streaming service.
Yeah, it was on Tubi, right?
Tubi, yeah, or Plex. And we'll get into it. And finally I watched today the 2017 The Man Who Invented Christmas, which is kind of like a biopic about Charles Dickens and him writing A Christmas Carol.
So I've always wanted to see that. Where did you stream that at?
That's on HBO Max.
Okay, I've always wanted to see that version.
And you have freaking Christopher Plummer as Scrooge, which is like, how did we not get A Christmas Carol with Christopher Plummer?
And let's not forget, next year we're getting a Robert Eggers version of A Christmas Carol.
Ty West with Johnny Depp as Scrooge. What do we think about that?
Yeah. So I'm interested in that. I love every movie version that I can find of this story.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll go ahead and start it off with my definitive version of this story is the 1951 Christmas Carol. I think.
Well, I mean, like I said, the transfer of this was not great, so it looked like a grainy VHS version essentially. But why, out of all the versions that there are, why is this one your favorite?
So this is the way I got introduced to A Christmas Carol. Going through the TV, off of school, 2 weeks vacation, stumbled upon OETAs, Saturday night movies.
Club, yep.
And it was Alistair Sim as Scrooge, and it was a cold, grainy, dark version. The noises that Jacob Marley made freaked me out as a little kid. I loved the score, and I think it was very, very dark as a 1950s movie. And to me, anytime I close my eyes and I think of Scrooge, I think of Alistair Sim. So, not to mention, there's a bunch of other great English actors in this movie. But I think, to me, this is the definitive version because of just how spot on he is as an actor, being an old comedian, slash serious actor. To me, I've always gravitated towards those kind of actors, hence
Mhm.
like Adam Sandler and some others. But yeah, I just think this is a very great version. It's a very well acted version. Um, and to me, this is, like I said, the definitive version of A Christmas Carol.
Okay.
So, but you know what? I gotta say, Zach, I never had thought about watching the FX version until you texted me. And I was like, you know what? It's on Hulu. I love A
Mhm.
Christmas Carol. Let me dig into it. So one night I watched all 3 hours back to back. And
Yeah.
dude,
It's
uh,
incredible, isn't it?
it is very incredible. I never would have thought Guy Pearce worked as Scrooge, but I
He's
put him up
perfect.
there. Yeah, he's up there in the top three now with me.
Yeah, I mean, I was just I was just like I'd seen it when it first premiered. I didn't watch it, but I just saw it on the homepage or whatever. I was like, that will count in this
Yeah,
filmography that we're doing. So let me just start watching it, dude. From like frame one, I texted you. I was like, this looks like Guillermo del Toro directed it. It's
yeah,
so well done. And freaking Andy Serkis I thought he was playing all three of the ghosts, but
right.
him as Christmas Past, it was like, dude, that's pretty much. I feel like they dedicated like a good chunk of the story to that, and then it goes into present and future. But it is dark. It is probably the darkest version of the story there is. There's language. There's brief nudity. There is um there's almost not almost, but there's almost when you go back to Scrooge's beginning in the Christmas Past section of the story, it's almost like it's referencing that he was like childly sexually abused by one of the teachers, and it kind of gives a lot more detailed backstory to Scrooge, to Bob Marley, not to Bob Marley, how he got the chains and everything, which I thought was a really cool idea. Bob Cratchit and his family. It was just an incredibly well done production that honestly, man, it might be coming my rotation. Next Christmas I might be watching that. So we'll just have to see.
So you told me every year you pick a Christmas movie, right, that you haven't seen?
I've filled my quota with this
Yeah.
year. So
um, and this is something that kind of gets into a little bit later because I was going to ask what Christmas movies mean to film and what Christmas movies mean to Hollywood, but we'll get into that later.
mhm.
So going through some of these different ones, and this not really being your Christmas go-to, what movie, if it is the FX one, that's fine, you can say it again. But what movie stood out, and to you, what is the best version that you watched?
I think the best version, in my opinion, like I said, everyone is different. I think the best version is the 2019 version with Guy Pearce. I think outside that, since it's technically a TV show, the best film version, probably the Jim Carrey one, just because I've seen it. That's the first one that I've seen, like, and it just kind of registered in my brain. That one is also, for it to be a kid's animated film, it's pretty dark.
It is dark. I rewatched that today. I started it last night, late week. I fell asleep and finished it today. It is probably my second favorite version of A Christmas Story, just
Mm,
because Jim Carrey does so good. And it's one of those animated movies that they use the facial recognition. So like
correctly.
Bob Cratchit looks like Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Scrooge's nephew Fred looks like Colin Firth.
Hmm.
And then Jim Carrey has some facial recognitions on all his characters too, especially the little candle when he's like doing the
Yeah.
little candle.
Yeah.
So like so yeah, man, like that one's a close second for me.
Yeah. And then outside of that, I think the 1984 George C. Scott TV film is actually really well done. I think he makes that version of it.
Yes.
You say that the Alistair Sim one I thought the George C. Scott version is very heavily score based. Like I was kind of shocked at how much like score ran the movie, honestly.
It didn't feel like a TV made movie.
No. And did you notice
And
Did you notice Batman Alfred was in there?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was going to send you a snapshot. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know Alfred lived during that time.
Yeah. There's also some very dark scenes in that version with George C. Scott.
Yeah.
To me, it's always one of the scenes that always gets to me, no matter what version you're watching, is when Ghost of Christmas Present opens up his bottom skirt, and you see the children that Scrooge might have been talking about and stuff like that, and you're just like, it gets me every time.
Yeah. I think, and something I've kind of realized or noticed or kind of paid attention to with each version is that I think when you say a Christmas Carol, there's always like the template of what it is. It's usually a greedy old bastard that has, like you said, there's almost no redemption arc when you first meet this character, but he goes on this journey of the past, present, future, and by the end of it, he's redeemed. In every film, whether it be film or TV, it follows that template to the max, almost to the point where I had a running joke throughout each version. It's like, did they just pass the same script down from each version? Because it's like,
but that shows you how important Charles Dickens' words and dialogue is to this character.
Yes, like in each version, you always had the prisons and the workhouses. You always had Scrooge saying, "Oh, it's my stomach or indigestion that's causing these hallucinations." You had obviously the famous Tiny Tim, "God bless us, everyone." It was kind of fun to see what continuous lines were going to show up, and like you said, that's all straight from the original novel or novella, and I think that's I don't know if it's necessary, but I think it's like concrete to say we're doing our version, but we're paying respect to what originally came.
Yeah.
So,
and to me, it's like so important of some of that written dialogue or the written script of like, keep your Christmas in your way and let me keep it in mine, or the way he's just so greedy and talking about like, my taxes pay for that. I can't afford, or I don't want to, afford, people, if they get sick and die, let them die. Some of that dialogue is just so important to, just like you said, the character arc, but yet the story in general.
Yeah. I think the first thing that I really picked up on while paying attention to all these different versions was the first thing that really stood out was the thing that kind of sets the whole thing in motion is the doorknob sequence where the Bob Marley's face shows up on the door. And I was just like, okay, that's kind of cool. I noticed it in the Jim Carrey version, but with each version, it was just like, that's a recurring thing. I want to get your opinion. I felt like Scrooge's sister goes in and out depending on what version it is. Sometimes they bring her up. Sometimes it's a major character that kind of, obviously she's the mother of his nephew. But I just noticed that some versions had her and some versions didn't.
Yeah, it's also like the ones that don't have her, it concentrates on the woman he was going to marry too, right?
Yes.
So like, for example, the George C. Scott version, it's very heavily favored on the woman he was going to marry, right?
Yeah, I think they were engaged and he broke it off. Yeah.
Yeah. And then let's say like Alistair Sim, that version is kind of a mix between the two.
The Alistair Sim version is the only version that I watched that shows the death sequence of the sister and Bob Marley, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. Well, hold on. You also, yeah, you're right. You're talking about where
she's dying in the bed.
Yeah. I watched so many different versions here lately. There was a version, George C. Scott is the one where it showed him go to the Bob Marley and he passed right then and there. That's Alistair Sim?
That's Alistair Sim. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you're right on that. That is the only version that he goes and yeah.
Well, and something that's interesting, I was going to like, you know what? In my notes, I was like, let me just write down every known film version that, that I could write down. Dude, look at this. All this from the first known version of A Christmas Carol was Scrooge or Marley's Ghost was from 1901. I got all the way down to a couple years ago's 2022's Spirited with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. But that doesn't even take into consideration the TV version, all the different TV versions, the Broadway shows, the theater versions, the radio shows. And there is something I was going to ask you about this. Do you think that A Christmas Carol is on the same level of Shakespeare to the point where it's just like when you know it, like everyone knows kind of different versions of the Shakespeare stories, but everyone knows what A Christmas Carol is, and you can just do it in your own different way?
Yeah, I would almost say they're one of the same.
In
Like
what way?
to where you gotta respect the dialogue, to where you can't just do a Romeo and Juliet or a Macbeth and forget dialogue and just create your own way.
Yeah.
Unless you're unless you do the Lion King, because you know.
Well, I mean, we talked about it earlier this year, but Ghost of Girlfriend's Past, that is very heavily influenced by A Christmas Carol.
So let me ask you this, because I was thinking about this. I didn't watch this movie with these rounds of movies, but you know what movie kept popping into my head when I was thinking and watching A Christmas Carol?
What?
And let's discuss it. Is It's a Wonderful Life? Does that not kind of float around? Now it's not a ghost that haunts him. It's his guardian angel, but the guardian angel also kind of does a past, present, and future kind of thing. I feel like that storyline was gifted and birthed by A Christmas Carol.
You know what? You're not wrong, because I mean, the movie starts off with Jimmy Stewart's childhood, and it goes into the present, and it goes into what his life would have been if he wasn't born. So I mean, it doesn't.
And George Bailey is such a pure character.
Yeah.
That Christmas and getting behind and bills and the story of Christmas and having this big old family and getting so far behind, that is what ultimately put George Bailey in a bad mood.
Mm-hmm.
That's what ultimately made him not want to be around for Christmas, not want to be there, kind of be salty at his wife and kids.
Yeah.
So I kept just sitting and thinking about that, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong about that, because when you said It's a Wonderful Life, I was like, that's not the movie I was expecting. But if you really just kind of sit down and think about it, like the structure of that film, it doesn't follow it on the dot, but it's very close to it. That's interesting that you would say that.
It's got some A Christmas Carol DNA vibes.
I like it. It has the DNA strands of Christmas Carol. I like that.
Yeah. So I would almost say A Christmas Carol is just, there's so many movies and stories and just architect and film and storytelling that's involved with this, that it's crazy. We're so close to the anniversary, 182 days, right? Or 182 years.
180. That's why we get paid the big bucks. We don't plan this; it just happens.
Always part of the plan.
Yeah,
that's why I don't sleep at night.
Exactly. You just like comb the calendar to see what anniversaries are coming up.
I'm like, oh, let me go all the way back to Charles Dickens, 182 years to the date.
Are you gonna Well, I guess we won't know till after the beginning of the year, but are you going to try and watch that, The Man Who Invented Christmas?
I am. Yeah.
I think, and kind of getting not emotional, but kind of getting real about it. I think the most important thing about this story is, you always go through the redemptive act of this character by the end of the story. But I think the most important thing is just like, we're all going to die at some point. And I think, the fact that death is literally a character in this story to say, hey, if you don't change your ways, people are going to, you left a mark on people, but it's not a good mark. They just know you as the greedy person who hated Christmas. And your actions affect everyone around you.
Yeah, you're right. And you can look at that just not through his eyes, but our life.
Mm-hmm.
But you could take that to the bank as far as are you going to be somebody that nobody wants to be around? Are you going to be a Scrooge? And let's look at that term today. How many times do you hear somebody be like, "Oh, that person's a Scrooge. I don't want to be a Scrooge." Like that is a name that is anonymous with this time of year about maybe somebody cut somebody off, maybe somebody cut somebody in line,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it just doesn't end.
It doesn't end, and it's I think at the end of the day, we're all human. We want someone to care for us. We want someone to be by our side. And seeing Scrooge, which that's another detail I kind of thought of, which is kind of hysterical because like in different versions, he's either in a 2-story apartment or he's like in a mansion. There's really no it never pins down like what kind of living situation he's in. We just know he's filthy rich, so he can live wherever he wants. But in different versions, it's either a mansion or apartment, 2-story apartment.
And you hear about like how penny pinching he is, whether it's like can't put any more coal into the warmer for Cratchit. There's in the Alistair Sim version, I like how he's sitting at dinner at like a place on the way home and he wants more bread, and they're like, half a shilling or a shilling. And he's like, no more bread,
Or in the Jim Carrey version, he takes the shillings off Bob Marley's body eyes. I was like, wow. That is a great depiction of greed in that.
A lot of people, don't get me wrong, a lot of people say that the Muppet Christmas Carol version is their ultimate definitive version.
And I
how did you like that one?
I think the two that people bring up the most is either the Muppets version or the Bill Murray version. And I think in retrospect, I enjoyed the Bill Murray version more just because of the slapstick comedy of it and just kind of the ridiculous nature. The Ghost of Christmas Present just beating Bill Murray around for 20 minutes was just damn right hysterical.
And it's different.
Yeah, it's very much. I think, say what you will. I didn't know Richard Donner directed that from Superman.
He had a big 80s, man. He had Superman, he had Scrooge, Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. I like how they took the story and kind of flipped it, but still stayed true to the original. The Muppets version, I don't hate it. I don't think it's a bad adaptation, but it's just
the music is what got me.
I didn't like the songs.
Yeah.
I think Michael Caine did a good job as Scrooge, but it's just I don't know.
Oh yeah, he was a perfect Scrooge.
But it's just I don't know. I just didn't like the musical numbers, if you will.
Now I'm sure there's like some really good British versions of this story, the Alistair Sim version. But what's kind of shocked me through the years is there hasn't been, and I know we just got to talk about Colin Firth because he's in the Jim Carrey version, but I'm surprised that set of film noir people, Colin Firth and those British directors, haven't done like a big Christmas Carol movie.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that. Someone is like, well, I can't. I was gonna say Gary Oldman, but he doesn't play Scrooge. He plays Bob Marley, but I think he could be a really good Scrooge.
He plays Bob Cratchit.
Bob Marley. No, that's one of the cinematic Ebenezer Scrooge films. He plays
Mr.
Bob Cratchit.
Mr. Scrooge, everything is going to be all right.
If that was if we were big, that'd be a meme tomorrow. I swear it would. I think he could be a really good Scrooge. We never seen that happen before.
Yeah.
Have you seen Spirited, the Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell one?
No.
That's like it's like a musical. When the ghost of Christmas Present accidentally picks the wrong person to reform, he ends up re-examining his own past, present, and future. So it's kind of like
That's an Amazon Prime original, right?
Apple TV.
Apple TV. Yeah. Will Ferrell, man, he hasn't been hitting it for me.
Yeah, it's sometimes we have to hit the bad strokes before we can get back to the good ones.
Yeah.
But that one, the way that one sets it up, it looks like it just drops it right in the middle of the story and kind of goes back and forth.
Going back to the Bill Murray version, Carrie Allen, who's in Indiana Jones? She's in that too.
Yeah, she plays like the love interest of him.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool. And let's Bill Murray fits that character to the T. I love Bill Murray in that movie.
He does. Yeah, he's definitely the best part. Do you think he could do a Christmas like a true Christmas Carol and play Scrooge?
Yeah, but I love his version so much. I will say, I have to watch every single December. I have to watch all the different versions of A Christmas Carol and Scrooged. Bill Murray he's spot on for me. Before we kind of finish and talk about some more aspects of the film and what Christmas movies mean to both of us, and then talk about January slate, I'm going to rank my versions of A Christmas Carol real quick. Number 5, I'm going to do the George C. Scott version. Number 4, I'm going to do the Scrooged Bill Murray version. Number 3, I'm going to do the FX Guy Pearce version. Number 2, the Disney's Jim Carrey A Christmas Carol. And then number 1, the Alistair Sim 1951 version.
Okay. I'm going to go number 5, the George C. Scott version from 1984. I'll do the 2017, The Man Who Invented Christmas, just the Charles Dickens biopic. I thought that was pretty good. Number 3, I'll do Scrooge, the Bill Murray version, 1988. Number 2, I'll do 2009's Jim Carrey version, and then number 1 is the Guy Pearce FX Hulu series.
I've only seen it once, but I noticed neither one of us watched the Patrick Stewart version for this week's episode. I couldn't find it anywhere. I used to own it on Blu-ray, but not anymore.
Yeah, if we had done this tomorrow, I probably or Thursday, or if we had a little bit more time, I probably would have tried to find the Patrick's. Oh no, you had to have a subscription for Hulu, but if we had a little bit more time, I would have tried to get to the Patrick Stewart version, which I've heard pretty good things about it.
Yeah. Overall, you're diving deep into A Christmas Carol for me in this podcast this year, Zach. What did it change your aspect looking at it again?
It did. It's still like it's not my go-to favorite. I think The Grinch will always be like that top tier thing for me for Christmas. But I have to thank I have to thank you, man, for doing this, because it gave me a lot more appreciation for the story. If we had a lot more time, I probably would have gone out and read the Charles Dickens story and kind of compare and contrast the different versions. But going off to the different films, that kind of gave me a good education on it.
I don't think it's a very long novel either.
No, I think it's only like maybe not even 100 pages, maybe not even that. But yeah, I mean, to answer the question, it gave me a lot more appreciation for the story, the meaning, the characters, and even the setting of it being kind of like I don't want to say ghetto. That's not the right term. but just kind of like poor stricken London 1800s time period, or Victorian, I guess you would say. Yeah, and it opened my eyes. And like I said, every year I always try to get like a new Christmas story that I'd never seen, or a movie version, whatever. I've hit my quota. I really don't need to watch anymore since I've seen 70 of these damn things.
I didn't know you were going to go that deep into it, man. And I got to appreciate, and I
Yeah.
got to say thanks too for the want and the need to just open up your spectrum of this story, because to me, as somebody who wants to let somebody know about films that I appreciate and that I adore, that's what this whole podcast thing has always been about to me. And even if that's you coming forward and saying, "Hey, you might not like this, but try it," or even with some of our conversation about Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Matthew McConaughey, it's the appreciation, it's the want to that is always three, that it always comes around with this show. And it's you appreciate it, I appreciate it, and to me, at the end of the day, I think that's what this whole thing is about.
Well, and I think our listeners appreciate it. There may be someone like me that, it's like, oh, they're doing a Christmas Carol, really? But they may listen to the show and like, you know what? I'm going to go out and try and see a couple of these different versions.
Yeah. So Christmas movies, it's different, man, because it's like, okay, there's Hanukkah, there's different versions of, there's Kwanzaa, there's different ways you can celebrate this time of festive year.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about Christmas movies to you, and that maybe to Hollywood, that, you know what, there's so many of them, but there's so many good ones. Yeah, there's so many bad ones, but everybody watches Christmas movies around this time of year. What do you think? Why do we gravitate towards Christmas movies? Is it to get us in the spirit?
I think it's to get us into the spirit. I think it's to get us into the realization, or get into the mindset of like, hey, you know what? All this BS that you have to deal with, 360 days of the year, you can set that aside for 2 or 3 days and say, hey, you know what? Let's focus on friends. Let's focus on family. Let's have a good time. Let's get together and make new memories that we haven't, whether it be go take a ski trip with the family in Colorado, or go see a movie on Christmas Day, watch, or in Johnny's case, watch the Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Day. But I think it's a reminder of like, hey, you know what? We're all human. 360 days out of the year, we have to deal with BS and just all our daily lives. Here's the part of the year where it's just like we can sit back, relax, and just enjoy life in a weird sense of the way. And everyone has their traditions, and everyone has their needs and wants that they always do on Christmas. And I think that's something that is quite beautiful, frankly. What about you?
I think you hit it right on the spot. I look forward to watching Christmas movies so much, but like you said, it's I don't watch it for the great acting. I don't watch it for the great plot or the storytelling. Some of them I do. Don't get me wrong. Some of the Christmas Carol, or there's some of them that are like just above all a great feature film. But man, I kind of just watch them to get lost in the translation of what the meaning is behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I said it in my recent watches earlier. Four Christmases, hilarious movie.
Yeah, that is a good. I haven't seen it in forever, but I remember liking it.
I showed it to my fiance, who had never seen it before, but you know what? She loved it, and I'm like, that's another reason, Vince Vaughn. Who doesn't want to see Vince Vaughn 6'5" and Reese Witherspoon, who's 4 foot, like just tear it up on Christmas? Funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's what it is, man. There's some movies that are just snoozers, and like I said, there's but you know what? It's not like Christmas is tomorrow. We still have a week and a few days left. what are some big movies Christmas wise that you have yet to watch this Christmas season that you're going to be talking about or watching this week? Because I know we'll talk about it in the recent watches in January, but what are some that you're still looking forward to?
Like that I haven't got a Christmas themed movies I haven't got to watch yet.
Yeah.
I still need to rewatch. I watched, like I said in recent watches, I saw the 25th anniversary of The Grinch, so I'm kind of good on that. I need to rewatch the 60s cartoon version. I need to watch Charlie Brown. I need to watch a little film called Feast of the Seven Fishes. I mentioned it in our top 5 Christmas episode. I think we did that episode last year. And I think the movie that I'm going to do that I had never seen before this year is probably going to be a film called Christmas in Connecticut from the 50s. And I thought it was streaming on HBO, but it's not. But I can find it. So I can probably rent it on Amazon, or Apple. But those are the ones that I still need to get to before the holidays up. What about you?
Some of the classics, man. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. I always debate myself every year. I watched the original Santa Claus already with Tim Allen. But sometimes I'm like, do I really need to watch 2 and 3?
Did you ever watch the TV show?
I did. I love the TV show. Good.
Oh, nice.
I still have to watch It's a Wonderful Life. A Christmas Story, which I adore every single year. I'm going blank right now. I have them in a stack in there. I did watch one. Usually every year I'll kind of watch 1 or 2 that I've never seen. Last year was Red One, and I think The Holdovers.
Yeah, I might rewatch The Holdovers. I really thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
This year was the Michelle Pfeiffer one. What fun!
Yeah,
got the same actor in it from The Holdovers.
Yep, Dominic Sessa. Yep,
and that one wasn't too bad. I'm also like torn in between. Like, why does every movie have to be at least 2 hours now?
I don't know.
Dennis Leary is in that movie. What fun! It was a pretty good one.
Okay. Did you watch? I think you did.
Grace Moretz.
Yeah, Chloe Grace Moretz. I saw that she was in it. Did you watch? Was it Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy last year or the year before?
I did not watch that. That looks so terrible. I watched Red One last year.
Okay, so like a lot of people like dog on that movie. Do you think it was as bad as everyone made it out to be? It's not great, but I don't think it's terrible.
It's not terrible, but I will say, again, it doesn't need to be 2 hours.
Yeah, I don't know why that movie's 2 hours. That Feast of the Seven Fishes I was talking about, you can stream that pretty much everywhere right now. Amazon Prime is probably the best place to get it. That movie's an hour and 40 minutes. It flies by. Have you ever seen it before?
What is it?
Feast of the Seven Fishes?
No.
You should try that one. I know you have Fandango where you put your movies on when you get the digital copies. You can watch it free on there. I'd try and give that one a try.
Okay. Yeah, I see it here. I do love Skylar Gizmondo. How are you pronounce his name?
Right.
Who is that? Is that Vin Diesel?
No, that's not Vin Diesel. I beg you, try and watch that movie sometime this week and text me and say if you have a family member that's somewhat in that movie.
Yeah.
So I think my final question is, and we probably already answered it, but where does this, if you had like a shelf of all the different Christmas stories and motifs and everything, where does that fit on the shelf?
I was gonna say I think I like this. It's not as good as A Christmas Story, but I think this would be the year that I'm like, you know what, A Christmas Carol goes above A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Nice. I just think you learn so much from this as a human. You learn so much from this as a partner, as a dad. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah, this is like I said, man. It's been very fun. I'm going to be honest. I could have got away with watching the Jim Carrey version and the
that's it.
one. I would have thrown the Hulu one in there just to see what it was like, and say like, I'm good. I've seen enough. But no, I wanted to. Let's take it a step further. Let's try and watch as many versions of this story as I possibly could, and it was a learning experience.
Good. Well, as a film fan, as a Christmas fan, as a podcaster, I say thank you, because that conversation we probably could have went on for like another hour maybe, and we didn't even dig deep into some more of the lore, the different Christmases, the different ghosts, the Tiny Tim situation.
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite Bob Cratchit, by the way, is Gary Oldman.
I forgot he was. What I saw like Gary Oldman on the title. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Who does he play? And it was Bob Cratchit. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess I'd have to side with you on that because I just don't know a lot of the different actors that played. But the Bob Cratchit that's in the Hulu version is pretty good as well. I just don't know what his name is.
Yeah. So, man, it's hard to believe this is it.
This is it, guys. It's our series. No, it's our season. It's our year finale. We, I think knowing you with you and the family, the kids, I know it's going to be a crazy next couple days to get ready for Christmas. So we're just this is the final episode of the year. We're going to take 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's, and then we will be back full force in January. We already got a packed January.
Yeah, man. January 6th, we're going to talk Avatar, Fire and Ash. Mm-hmm. I'm excited for that. It's going to take me 2 weeks to go through all 3 Avatars. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm
seeing the third one on Friday. I'm really trying to decide, do I want to rewatch the second one? And I'm afraid I'm gonna get Avatared out before I go see the new one.
I'm glad we got 2 weeks because I'm gonna spread them out.
Do one each week or something.
Yeah. January 13th. What do we got coming up?
January 13th, I think we're talking about F1, which just dropped on Apple TV. So if you have Apple TV, go check that out. It's going to be a fun conversation. January 20th, I think we're both excited because we're kind of wrapping up our Hitchcock retrospective. And as part of the IMDb 250, we're talking about Vertigo. The last of the big, quote unquote, big Hitchcock films. I'm excited. So it's not my favorite of his films, so it's going to be an interesting rewatch.
I've only seen it once.
And then we end the month of January 27th with One Battle After Another, Leonardo DiCaprio's new movie. I think it hits HBO Max either Christmas Day or New Year's. It's one of the two. So it'll be up there to stream when we get to that point.
Nice. Also, speaking of recent watches, Zach, I'll be watching the new Conjuring movie before we talk again January 6th. So you'll be able to hear my full thoughts on that.
Or don't. Or whatever you want.
Since I didn't get to go see it, so you'll hear my full thoughts.
We might do a Conjuring rewind episode so we can get your full thought.
Yeah. Yeah, man, other than that, January, these 2 weeks are going to fly by, so I was going to say enjoy it. Me and you will talk again, of course, but for anybody who's wanting to watch or listen, hit us up on the social media. Go back. You can listen to us, any of the last year's episodes or any of the past archive episodes, anywhere you listen to podcasts. I will be active on the social media for the next 2 weeks, so don't forget to check out the social media pages, giveaways, digital copies, and I'll be replaying some of the past episodes that I'll be sharing. So hit us up on the social media pages. I hope you enjoyed this year of podcasting from us. I hope you enjoyed these conversations. I hope you enjoyed this Christmas Carol conversation. We will see you guys again January the 6th, 2026 for Avatar, Fire and Ash. Have a happy and safe Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and we'll see you January 6th for another new year of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Hook 'em.